Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyersportsbetting.com. Look us up in the sports section on Roku, Dwyer Boxing and Sports News. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's talk about 3 stories in the world of boxing that I think you need to know about. Now, Floyd Mayweather used to be with Roger Mayweather, right? Roger used to be the trainer for Floyd. All of that changed recently. Now we have Floyd Sr. back in his corner. And Floyd Jr. has said that he relies on his team to scout his competition, right? Floyd Jr. has further said that his team, Floyd Sr., notably among them, figures out the game plan on what to do. And then they come to him and tell him their proposed strategy. Well, there's a great video online right now. It's a very revealing video of Floyd Sr. He's asked a few questions about Jr.'s next opponent in a fight I believe is a big mistake for Jr. And that's Amir Khan, right? That's the rumor right now. The fight's being discussed, nothing's been finalized, but apparently Amir Khan remains one of the leading candidates to fight Floyd next, right? So they're talking to Floyd Sr., and you would think that if Amir Khan is being seriously considered, that Sr. would have broken down Khan films. Sr. would have figured out a strategy on how to beat Khan. Sr. would at least know who Amir Khan is. Sr. would have watched Khan both in his worst moments and in his best moments. So, of course, Sr. starts talking. And Sr. talks about how Amir Khan is dead man walking. By the way, I believe I have a link to this video on my channel page right now. But then the interviewer presses him and asks Sr. what Khan fights Sr. has actually seen. And Sr. says that he's only seen Khan fight once. Think about it. Let me just say, somebody from the Mayweather camp needs to sit down with the Khan library. They need to figure out who this guy is. In my opinion, he has faster hands than Floyd. He certainly has more length. Let me just point out, I believe Khan is a much tougher matchup than advertised. We can talk about a guy having a glass chin, which is what Floyd Sr. does. But to take advantage of that glass, you've got to find that chin. To YouTube Nation, let me ask you, a fast-handed guy like Zab Judah, how many times did Zab Judah find Amir Khan's chin when they fought? Right? Just because you have hand speed doesn't mean you'll be able to get through Khan's length, catch up with Khan's foot speed, and actually hit him on the chin. Right? I mean, easier said than done. Let me also point out, too, that Floyd Mayweather tends to be lower volume. Here you're dealing with a guy with a good jab who can stay outside. In fact, didn't Amir Khan beat Paulie Malignaggi? I know technically that was a knockout in the 11th round. But what did your scorecard tell you before the stoppage? Wasn't Khan beating Malignaggi? Malignaggi's pretty fast, right? Khan was able to stay outside against Paulie Malignaggi and do a number on him. And, of course, Khan was also able to land power shots against Malignaggi. Isn't Malignaggi hard to find? Doesn't Malignaggi have above-average defense? How was Amir Khan able to hit Paulie Malignaggi? Let's talk about the Amir Khan-Danny Garcia fight. Sure, Garcia looked great in the third round, no question about it. How did you score the first 2 rounds? Weren't you a bit surprised that Amir Khan came out and was actually hunting down Danny Garcia? Didn't Khan blow that fight in part due to strategy? What would have happened if Khan would have been on his back foot? Not engaging with a powerful hooker, right? A guy who knocked out Eric Morales, but actually relying on movement, volume, and hand speed. What if he does that against Floyd Mayweather, right? When is the last Mayweather knockout where the opponent was actually looking at him at the time of the stoppage, as opposed to the Victor Ortiz knockout where Ortiz is looking at Joe Cortez and the scene's kind of like confused? When is that last knockout? Folks, you'd have to go back a while, right? In fact, the last 2 fights Floyd has had, we've been hearing about, how he hurt his elbow in one fight and how he hurt his hand in another fight, right? So, just understand, this is not the 1970s. Don't assume that people like Floyd Sr. have seen more of the fights of Floyd's future opponents than you have. Right? This is an era where with a few clicks of your mouse or with a few finger swipes on an iPad, you can actually pull up a fighter's fights. You can actually see what that fighter has done well and what that fighter has done poorly. Here's also something to consider in analyzing this fight. Amir Khan now is trained by Virgil Hunter. Yes, Andre Ward's trainer. Is it possible that Virgil Hunter can add a few wrinkles to Khan's game that might not show up on film from Khan's time with Freddie Roach? Food for thought. Keep in mind, Hunter and Khan haven't just gotten together. They were together before the Diaz fight. Right? When you hire a trainer, sometimes it takes a while for everything to click. Right? For you to figure out what the trainer is saying and for the trainer to figure out what you can do. Isn't there a chance that Khan and Virgil Hunter right now are more on the same page than they've ever been? I think that's a dangerous fight. I continue to say so. Speaking of dangerous fights, as a general rule, I try to rely more on fighters' post-fight interviews than I do their pre-fight interviews. Right? Before the fight, everyone thinks they're going to win. Before the fight, everyone thinks the other guy's a bum. Before the fight, everyone thinks they're on a different level. That the other guy lacks talent, lacks skill, is taking the fight too early in his career. You remember what Carl Froch was saying about George Groves before their fight. How did that turn out? Did George Groves look terrified to you in the early rounds? I thought it was Carl Froch on his back in the ring early on, not George Groves. Well, right now you have similar trash talk taking place between Devon Alexander and Sean Porter. There's an interview right now online where Devon Alexander claims that Sean Porter has limited skills. Right now, I'm just here to tell you, look, all I know is what I've seen in Sean Porter videos. You're kidding yourself if you think Sean Porter has limited skills, right? The guy's hand speed is obvious. The guy's ability to fight inside is obvious. The guy's balance is obvious. The guy's stamina is obvious. This is a world-class fighter. Now, I'm not saying that I know more than Devon Alexander about the sport of boxing. Far from it, right? And Alexander himself is trained by a superstar trainer, Kevin Cunningham, right? But all I'm saying to you is you need to take these pre-fight interviews with a grain of salt, right? Maybe Devon Alexander fully believes that Sean Porter is not on his level. I'm not so sure. I think we won't know the truth until that fight starts. Then we'll figure it out, just like we did with Carl Froch, George Groves. Let me close with this. You know what? The world of boxing has changed significantly in the last 2 weeks. It wasn't so long ago that it was obvious to all of us that the two biggest cash cows in the sport were Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. These were the guys who seemed to have inherited the kingdom from Oscar De La Hoya, who was clearly Mr. Box Office just a few years ago. That's how fast things change in boxing, right? Oscar was the kingfish, literally, in 2006, 2007, right? My, how the world has changed. Well, guess what? According to pay-per-view numbers, at least according to the rumors about the pay-per-view numbers, and you should be concerned about how long it's taking them to release the pay-per-view numbers, apparently the world has changed for Manny Pacquiao. Now understand, Floyd Mayweather just had a fight against Saul Alvarez. That fight got 2.2 million pay-per-view buys. That translated into a gross of something like $150 million. When you're making that much money, you can say to one of the fighters, I'll pay you $30, $40 million, right? The money is there to go around. You can say to the other guy, here's $10 million, right? The fighters are putting their lives at risk. They deserve to get paid, and you actually have the money to pay them. Now, according to reports, Manny Pacquiao's most recent fight against Brandon Rios, and keep in mind, Rios was coming off of an exciting fight against Mike Alvarado, didn't get 1 million pay-per-view buys. According to some rumors, that fight may have topped out at 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Now that's a lot for the average fighter. Not a guy you're paying $18 million guaranteed to. Right? The number is shocking. If that number is true, then you really have to wonder, in terms of box office, where is Manny Pacquiao right now in the pantheon of things? Right? Think about it. I believe Gennady Golovkin might pull better pay-per-view numbers than those numbers. Right? I believe Sergey Kovalev against Adonis Stevenson. These guys have already shown they could pull numbers on HBO. I believe they can pull better numbers than those numbers. Right? And keep in mind, Pacquiao's really at a crisis point right now because he's in his mid-30s. Right? The guys I've just named, they're all younger than Pacquiao. This is a young man's game. Let me go one step further. Fighting Brandon Rios at 147 pounds really isn't the kind of test that hardcore boxing fans want to see if they're going to pay heavy pay-per-view dollars. Right? You have some names out there. The water is deep at 147 pounds. And folks, it's dangerous. Right? Amir Khan has already sparred with Manny Pacquiao. Kell Brook is at 147 pounds. Devon Alexander is at 147 pounds. Keith Thurman is at 147 pounds. Right? My point to you is if you're in your mid-30s and you're trying to rejuvenate your pay-per-view numbers, your marketability, these are the kind of names you're going to have to fight. Let me go one step further. If you move up to 154, you're dealing with a lot of problems. I'd take Anthony Mundine over Manny Pacquiao. Keep in mind, Saul Alvarez is at 154 pounds. Is there anyone watching this video who believes that James Kirkland would not be on his front foot against Manny Pacquiao? Right? Austin Trout, Erislandy Lara, Carlos Molina, and understand, whatever anybody says, I consider Carlos Molina to be one of the best boxers in the sport. He's slick. Right? I'm just here to tell you, if you believe that Manny Pacquiao has issues boxing, that while he has hand speed and power and straight left, he's not a great chess player. That Pacquiao-Molina fight could open up the room to a lot of possibilities, right? So all I'm saying is, as you're looking at Manny Pacquiao, who's rumored to be coming back to the United States for his next fight, right? He's rumored to be coming back to Las Vegas for his next fight. Just understand that he might have to, because the numbers weren't there in Macau. Macau right now is the gambling capital of the world, but it's not the boxing capital of the world, right? And let me just say, if you're paying anyone $18 million in a boxing match, you're expecting more than 500,000 pay-per-view buys. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I have egg all over my face. I hope they release the numbers. I hope the numbers are 7 figures. At least 1 million pay-per-view buys. But if you don't hear the numbers, or if the numbers are released and they are 500,000 or less, just understand Manny Pacquiao at this stage is in crisis mode for his career. Make no mistake, he's trying to come back. He lost a couple of fights, right? The last loss ended with him unconscious on the canvas. Right now he's fought Brandon Rios, but the fan interest level wasn't there. What's his next move? He's going to have to fight someone more substantial than Brandon Rios. Right? His next move, intriguingly enough, might be to drop down to 140 pounds. Don't discount it, because I'm just here to tell you that some of the names at 147 are underrated and dangerous, right? If you want to see hand speed, now Manny Pacquiao's calling card is his hand speed. Are you that certain that Manny Pacquiao's hand speed is better than Kell Brook's hand speed? Right? Devon Alexander is a southpaw, like Manny Pacquiao. Is Manny Pacquiao's southpaw stance going to throw off Devon Alexander? Or is Devon Alexander's southpaw stance going to throw off Manny Pacquiao? But one thing's clear. Pacquiao's going to have to fight a real opponent in his next fight. He can't fight a guy coming off of a loss who's a visitor at 147 pounds. Right? He's going to have to fight somebody a little bit more substantial than that. And I'm just here to tell you, the water is turbulent, right? Adrian Broner, Manny Pacquiao. I'm expecting Broner, by the way, to beat Marcus Maidana, right? I'll agree Manny Pacquiao's foot speed's a lot better than Broner's foot speed. But I have to say, if Broner figures out how to block Manny Pacquiao's straight left hand, what exactly is Manny Pacquiao going to land on Adrian Broner? Think about it. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. Thanks for stopping by.